It ain't easy now. How could I move forward when I keep looking backward? I'm just standing still. How can I fight this obsession? Have I not learned my lesson? Maybe I never will.
Pittsburgh Steelers fans, this is Behind the Steel Curtain editor Dave Schofield coming at you again. It's Tuesday night. It's just after 9 p.m. We're pretty much on time. Where else would you rather be? This is the Scho Bro Show. And with me, as always, it wouldn't be the Scho Bro Show if it wasn't for Big Bro Scho. Rich, how's it going?
Oh, it is going and it is going wonderful. Why? Because the NFL season is upon us.
Yeah, I mean, do you realize that in less than 48 hours, there will be a regular season professional NFL game going on? I won't be able to watch it because I'll be doing the preview, but there'll be a game, and that one's not on. That one's actually Sunday Night Football, I do believe. It's not till the next week that it starts Thursday Night Football when it's exclusively on Prime. I've got to make sure I got that set up, ready to go for all those things. But that's a whole different story. I'm excited about professional football, but not just any professional football. We're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are. Let's dive into some news before we get into the subject. I mean, the subject is talking about the game this week. That's the subject, ultimately. Yep. But to get ready for this game, a couple things. Let's talk about something that has nothing to do with this game. This will be the second press conference that happened today, the one that was supposed to appear on Steelers.com and Facebook and Twitter and did not appear on any of them. But it was one, Art Rooney II, team president of the Steelers, announcing that they are adding another number to the retired jerseys list. Now, there's a lot of jerseys that they haven't issued since other people have worn them, but only two numbers have been officially retired by the Pittsburgh Steelers. You've got Ernie Stautner, number 70. I looked that up today. That was retired in 1964, before he ever even went in the Hall of Fame, like right after he retired. And that was the first and only one.
Yep. And
then nobody until Mean Joe Green when they retired it in 2014. So you got 70. Okay. You've got, I almost said 72, right? You've got Mean Joe, but of course you now have number 32, Franco Harris, going in to have his number retired. It will be done during halftime of the game that's commemorating the 50-year anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. Rich, thoughts?
Oh, sorry. I've just been singing the,
Franco. Yep. Sorry.
You know what? If he deserves it.
Yeah.
You think running back, Pittsburgh Steelers, 70s dynasty, who you thinking about? Sure, Rocky Blair was there and ran the ball plenty, but it's Franco.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, now remember, I didn't get to experience really any of this. I was not old enough to experience it live because Franco was already gone by the time I really remember anything with the Steelers football. So yes, he did play that 1 year in Seattle at the end of his career, but you don't even need to think about that.
Oh, I remember. I know. Don't think about that. Why? Because I remember the last game I think he played in. He had 3 rushing attempts for 3 yards.
Yikes!
Yeah, that was. But not only did I see Franco play on TV, but I actually got to see him play in person. So that was
cool. You did. You did, because I you know what? I barely remember that. Because when you were there, because I'm pretty sure I was while you guys were there, I might have been with our mother at our grandparents while you were at the game.
Yes. You were.
That's what I remember, just saying, "Oh, Dad," and I remember who you went with, because they actually didn't you all meet up there? I'm trying to remember.
No.
I can't. It doesn't matter. I was so young. But sorry if you heard some noise in the background. Not only was it my dog barking, it was just a huge crash of thunder. There was a huge flash in my face just a minute ago. If you're watching live, yes. Sorry. Hopefully, Rich, you're gonna have to carry this show if I lose power.
There
you ready to go?
Of course, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. So
people
this
might actually enjoy the show then.
But yeah. Probably. You know what? I would probably enjoy the show.
There you go.
I've done a lot of podcasts. In case with the breaking news ones and then the press conference today, it's been a lot in the last couple of days. But of course, in typical fashion, what do you hear some Steelers fans do? They want to honor Franco, and what do? Well, why not number 12? Why not this? Why not this player, that player, the other player? Sometimes you just got to go with what you got. So congratulations, Franco Harris. That'll be interesting on Christmas Eve, which I really look forward to working on Christmas Eve. But hey, it is what it is. For those of you that are in a life situation where you can attend the game, go enjoy it. Seriously, it would be phenomenal. I wish they would have done it.
You're going to have to work on Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
and it's ruining your Christmas Eve plans. Guess what?
What's up?
Me too.
Yeah.
We've both got to work for the game that night.
Got to do it. Got to do our thing. So, I was really banking on them. I thought they would actually do a special Friday night game on the 23rd on the actual day. That would have been so cool because I'd have made sure I was there for that one, because then, who cares if I'm up and having to drive home all night if the next day is Christmas Eve and not Christmas Day. So just one of those things. But let's get to was it a frustrating day, because after that announcement, of course, one Jeff Hartman he was at his other day job. He was teaching, and sometimes he has breaks during the day for his planning period, and we cover stuff. And he actually has it planned out to where he's available during the Mike Tomlin press conferences each week, but he wasn't available for the Art Rooney one. So I'm writing the article about it, and our system crashes. Not behind the steel curtain, SB Nation system for us to write articles, and it just crashes. And I was no joke. I was putting in the last line of stay tuned to Behind the Steel Curtain as the Pittsburgh. That's what I was doing. And it crashed, and I lost half the article when it finally came back. But I had to wait a half an hour for it to come back. So that's sorry for those of you for at BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. That's why it wasn't such breaking news. We kind of got technical difficulties that we couldn't overcome. But those technical difficulties just went right in line with the Steelers' technical difficulties today. My goodness. They go to do Mike Tomlin's press conference. You get partway through it. It starts breaking up, and then boom, it's gone. You got to watch Bob Pompiani and Missy Matthews talking about what Coach Tomlin's, and they don't know what he's saying. They're trying to read Teresa Barley's tweets to tell us what's going on. If you're following Twitter, she's not as fast putting her tweets out as some of the other people that are there, because I guess they just can type with their thumbs faster. I don't know. So that happened. You had to wait like a half an hour to then finally get the replay of the press conference. Oh. But on top of that, there was more technical difficulties. If we can we call them technical difficulties?
Sure.
Or they clerical errors?
Yes.
For those of you that might not know about the clerical errors, yesterday at 4 p.m., I was kind of surprised. The Steelers announced their depth chart. I thought unless the NFL mandated when they had to do it, I thought they would hold off. I thought they'd hold off until today at closer to 4 p.m. after a press conference and everything's announced and everything else. They had done it on Monday the year before, so I was ready for it. But they did it around 2 o'clock, like 1:30, 2 o'clock, maybe a bit 2:30, I don't know. But it wasn't 4 o'clock. They did it 4 o'clock. That's the news dump on a holiday. They do the depth chart, and everyone's taking it because things were moved around. But one position where they didn't move it around was the quarterbacks. They left the quarterbacks how they were on the depth chart that they were at the beginning of the season. Now, 15 hours and 15 minutes later, they say, whoopsie, we screwed that up. There's a mistake. Here's the new one. Only change at quarterback. Then during the press conference, Coach Tom was asked about it. He called it that it was due to a clerical error. Rich, I got to ask, you buying it?
I will say this. Yes, there was a, I'm going into my own fun conspiracy theories here. Yes, there was a clerical error.
Mm-hmm.
My thought is the clerical error was that Coach Tomlin left it how it was, and ownership of the front office came back and said, Coach Tomlin, that can't be right. That's wrong. You got to change that.
That's
a clerical error.
It's funny because I put something in our Slack channel that I'm like, they're like, well, why would they change it? I said, it could have been this conversation. And I said, MT, this is what Coach Tom saying. It's like, we feel that having Mason available to come off the bench, I shouldn't say Mason, I said MR2. It's better to have MR2 available to come off the bench in game if needed. Then in response to that, AR2 says, we're not going to sell number 8 jerseys if they're not even standing on the sidelines. Yeah. Now, is that really what happened? Are we saying that Coach Tomlin was overridden by ownership? No. Could it even been that there was just some disagreement among the coaches or front office or anything with it? Sure. Could it have been that it really should have been the other way around, but they didn't want to announce it yet? I think that might have been the other possibility. Sure. So Jeff Hartman and I are on the Breaking News podcast. He's all mad because Kenny Pickett's number 3. I'm saying that I see why they would do it. And honestly, I still see why it would make sense if they chose to do that. Because, and people are like, oh, well, how's he ever going to get experience? Whether one guy's in clothes or the other one, street clothes, and the other one's in his uniform, standing next to each other at the sideline, does it really matter if they're both standing on the sideline the whole time? Yeah. Does it really matter which one's which?
No.
So the only thing that matters is when someone goes into the game. And if they did not want Kenny Pickett to have to be, it's a different mentality going into it, knowing that at any second on any snap, you would have to run onto the field. Other than sitting back, and realizing, hey, you're not. So if they didn't want to put that on him for the first few weeks, I'd have been fine with that. Because Mason Rudolph's done it before.
Well,
so
as I brought up to our dad tonight when I was at their house, it's like, look, the only reason Benjamin Todd Roethlisberger didn't start his career as the number 3 quarterback
is Charlie Batch got hurt.
Yeah. So he had to be the number 2. Otherwise, he was the number 3.
Exactly. He would have been standing there. And higher draft pick, everything of that nature. Then there's some people that was arguing in the comments, no, Ben would have passed him if he wouldn't have got hurt. We'll never know. Ben was not ahead of him when he got hurt. He got hurt early in camp. Yeah. I've said the whole time, I was fine if Kenny Pickett was the 3rd quarterback. I'm fine if Kenny Pickett's the 2nd quarterback. And I'm fine if Kenny Pickett is the 1st quarterback.
That's right.
Because ultimately, he passed the eye test. He really did this preseason. But remember, our eye test, we're only asked to read a quarter of the chart. The coaches and everything else, they got the whole chart in order to pass the eye test. They've got to see what they're doing. I was even arguing, I would say what I ultimately want from Kenny Pickett is I want him to get the most reps he can in practice as possible, even if those reps are running the scout team. I don't care. People are like, oh, well, if he's on the scout team, I'm like, you're talking like you're banishing the guy to a closet and he's not allowed to know the offense's secret plan. No. When you run the scout team, you know what you're getting? Experience. Whether it's Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, or some guy they bring in for a week to pretend to be a different quarterback, you know what that person's going to be doing? They're going to be reading a top tier defense and making a decision, even if it's not your own regular offense. You're still getting experience of reading the defense and trying to dissect it in order to make a play. Because the better you play as a scout offense, the better it's going to make the defense. That's just how it works. I ran my second year of coaching. I ran the scout offense for the varsity program. Oh my goodness. It was so much fun. It wasn't like memorizing a playbook. It was literally, I had a big stack of papers and I'd pick a play. I would hold it up in the huddle and it showed every player what they were doing on that play. You didn't have to memorize a play call or anything else. You looked at where you were lined up and it showed you what you were going to do on that play. That's what running the scout team is. Then guess what you do? You go out and do what the thing says. You go out and do what the paper says. Go block the guy it says to block. Go run the route it says to run. Run the ball where it says it's supposed to go. That's what it is. And that's, honestly, as a football coach, sorry if I'm going off on this a little bit, that's where you find your real football players. You have someone that's not in your starting lineup, but they're a player that can help you. You know where they emerge? They emerge on the scout team. That's what happens. Both sides of the ball. Because you're showing that you're willing to get out there and get the work in. You're showing what you can do. And every rep you get is one that you can improve to do better the next time. So ultimately, I don't care if it's a scout team. I don't care if it's running with the twos. I don't care what. I want Kenny Pickett to get as many snaps as possible in every practice in order to aid in his development. There. I'm off my soapbox.
Good. Get off your soapbox because good. Well, my comment is like you I don't know. You're maybe taking too much into this whole thing. My fun from here is going to be the memes and everything else now that is going to be deemed a clerical error.
Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. So I can't wait. I'm fine with either explanation why they wanted to do it. Go ahead.
I can't wait for there be a time during this season where we have a quarterback in the game and they make a mistake somewhere and they're asked about it after the game. I so want to hear one of them blame it on a clerical error.
Yes, I would love to say
that would be hilarious.
Yeah, sorry, it was on a clerical error.
There was a clerical error in the game plan.
And, the cut and paste got us. Wait a second, I have the quote right here. I want to read it word for word in case you didn't hear it. This was exactly what Mike Tomlin said when he was asked about it. He said it was a clerical error. That's how the depth chart was listed at the start of training camp. The cut and paste component was the cut and paste component. How Tomlin is that?
Okay. I don't know where you were watching, but I was on Facebook Live, and that was back up and live.
Oh, was it?
I saw him on Facebook. I saw that part. I saw him make that answer live. Now,
what they did on the live show is they kept the live show going until they then went back and replayed it.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I didn't see the beginning because we had orientation over at the college today, so I was busy. But I got back through and was scrolling down through, and all of a sudden it popped up, and he was just into answering questions. And oh my gosh, when he said that one, I about died.
Yeah.
Of course, I knew that he had already caught a clerical
component with the cut and paste component
because everybody was talking about it in the Slack channel. So then when he got talking about the cut and paste component, oh my gosh, I was like, oh, this is so freaking hilarious.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. Reginald says, Dave, did you win though? I wonder if he's asking about when I ran the scout offense.
Of course, that's what he's asking about.
I will tell you this. At the high school I coached at, they have only ever won one postseason game in the history of the school. And it was with that team. And we beat the mighty, I don't remember their mascot, the infamous Dunbar High School out of Baltimore. We beat them in the playoffs 41-0 that year. We had the best defense in the area because our scout offense pushed them hard. I had 4 out of our 5 starting linemen for the regular offense running the scout offense. They were afraid to come out. They were afraid somebody else would come in and show what they could do and take their spot. They had to, so they ran the scout offense. Everybody got better. It's a good scout offense makes your defense better. A good scout defense makes your offense better. Anyway, Tyler W., $2 in the tip jar, says, I can't find the Survivor League sign up. Help. It's very simple, Tyler. If you go to behindthesteelcurtain.com right now, it's the top article. It's the top article. It's picture Cam Hayward. It's right there. As you scroll through, right, there is a link just before the picture that gives you like the ID, the league number and the password. There's a link that says here, it's blue. Okay, it's not the first one, which is how to sign up for a Yahoo ID. It's the second one. That will take you straight there, have the password in and everything. You're signed up as long as you're logged into Yahoo. If you're not sure what Tyler W. is talking about, it's your chance to win a Cam Hayward signed football. We announced it last week. It's our Survivor League. We are in league number 3 right now, and it's about halfway full. We will keep this going with signups up until 1 p.m. kickoff on Sunday when you can't enter in a team anymore. So if you aren't in it, get there. It's free. It's fun. We'll talk about it on the show. We'll do articles about it on the website. The last person standing wins the football. Lots of fun. Whew. So sorry that I went off a little bit on that, but
that's okay.
Are you okay with were you fine with the depth chart no matter how it ended up?
Oh, I was, yeah.
It
didn't matter to me.
They could have told me any one of the 3 quarterbacks was starting and any one of the 3 quarterbacks was the third string. And you know what? I'd have been all right with it.
Yep.
You know, I assumed Mitch was starting because I don't think he did anything to lose the job. And if they wanted to protect Kenny Pickett more, I get it. You know, and here's one before we get onto this, because this is a lot of good stuff to talk about. There is one narrative that I do not believe one bit. I don't know if it's happened in the live chat. Couldn't tell you. I've seen it on Steelers Twitter or not. I saw it in comments on the articles. I do not believe for 1 second they are choosing their quarterback based on fear of them getting hurt behind this offensive line.
No, we don't play in our fears.
Yeah.
Except in the playoffs.
Except the playoffs. And Wes, the answer is yes. It's the Dunbar Poets. Thank you very much. Somebody got out the Google machine, I'm sure. So, yeah, I that's not the way they're thinking. That's not the way they're thinking, because they're not going in thinking, man, this. They might acknowledge that the line is struggling, but they're not going in saying, oh, well, this line's just going to get our quarterback killed, so we better save number 8. No. No. We can talk about all we want. That's a benefit of Kenny Pickett not being out there. I'm not going to deny that, but that has nothing to do with in the reason of what's going on. So is what it is. Rich, anything more you want to say about that? Or was there anything else from the press conference that jumped out at you either?
No, not really.
He did talk about the offensive line. And said, you know, it's going to take some time for that cohesion. And he says it's not going to be something that just happens instantaneously. It's going to be a process. I agree with that. And I think that process and how far that process goes is the biggest factor going into 2022, which is when the Steelers go to Cincinnati this Sunday, 1 p.m. at whatever they call that ridiculous stadium. I don't know that it's ridiculous. I just we'll call it an Escalooser Field. That's what we'll call it now.
Yeah, that's
They go in there, Steelers on the road again to start the season with a formidable opponent and 6.5-point underdogs, which is exactly what happened last year.
Yes,
exactly
it
what
was.
happened last year. It's the same line. Last year, they were going up against a team that was not everybody's, but quote unquote everybody's is what they say, that a number of people had chosen for it to be their Super Bowl favorite when the Steelers went into Buffalo to face the Bills. That was a very popular pick for them to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. And who knows if they could have kept if they could have used 13 seconds to not give up a field goal, they might have very well been representing, and who knows how that game would have, those next 2 games would have been really interesting if it would have been that team. But hey, that's why you got to play all 60 minutes. So But that was a team that was just, they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. This is a team that did it last year. How do you compare, just out of curiosity, how do you compare the toughness of the matchup last year versus the toughness of the matchup this year?
I don't know. Only one thing just kind of keeps running through my head. And that is somehow last year the Bengals bungled their way into the Super Bowl. I will always sit there and think, you know what? It's the Bengals.
Yeah.
The Bengals, can they be good from time to time? Yes, they can. Do they ever scare me? No.
I'll be honest with you. I watched, I don't know who shared it. Someone on Twitter. It might have been Bob Pompiani, or it might have been the Steelers itself. It was a kind of a hype video it was a couple minutes long, showed some history between the Steelers and Bengals, although the opening scene they had was actually against the Browns, but oops. And some of the history they showed, Juju Smith-Schuster laying out Vontaze Burfict. They showed a big hit by Hines Ward. They didn't show, wasn't it against the Bengals that AB kicked the punter?
No, that was the Browns.
Jump him?
That was the
Browns too?
Yeah.
Okay. I get the two of them mixed up. It's a sad franchise that is still struggling to get
that god-awful orange.
Yes. But I will tell you one thing about the Bengals. When I go back and I look at that and you see the infamous Joey Porter with Pac-Man Jones and Vontaze Burfict with the hit that, the Steelers come back and after shutting out the Bengals for 3 quarters and then lost the lead, come back and win that game. This is not the same Bengals to me. It's the same franchise, but that culture has completely changed. And it's actually one that could be successful. It's actually more of a winner's mentality culture with the Cincinnati Bengals. Do you see that team as a different team as that they were, 5-8 years ago?
Yeah, they've got a little more of that swagger, but here's how I always look at it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the biggest difference in opening up against the Bengals this year versus the Bills last year. We're going to start week 1 with AFC North football.
Yes.
And I think everybody knows and realizes, there's a lot of talk that, the AFC North is always one of the tougher divisions in football. And honestly, any AFC North team has the possibility of beating any other AFC North team on any given Sunday.
Yes. That's AFC North football. That's what Coach Tomlin says.
That's right. That's AFC North football.
Yeah.
And I don't expect to see anything different this Sunday than AFC North football.
Yeah. To me, I think that organization started to try to say, hey, you know what? We've got 2 others in this division that are pretty successful. Because as much as I don't like that purple team, you can't say that they're not a successful franchise. You just that would be contradictory to facts that they have been there, won championship since that ugly orange team turned into that ugly purple team. That's what they've done. So to me,
and even in terms of that, I give credit where credit is due there. In my opinion, that terrible purple team down east was turned around by one person.
Mm-hmm.
Ozzie Newsome.
Ozzie Newsome, yes. But when you
hate Baltimore as much as you do,
got to respect.
I thought Ozzie Newsome turned that team around and really helped turn it into a win.
Absolutely. And when it comes to that, when you got both the Steelers and the Ravens in the division, you kind of have 2 franchises that you could say, how do they do things and can we do it that way? And it seems like the Browns just don't get it. They go out there, they're paper champions every offseason. Oh man, the Browns, look out for the Browns. Look at what they did. Look at what they added. But this last offseason of anything shows you that there's a price to that at times. There was a big price to it this year.
Yeah.
So But when it comes to the Bengals, that's just a team that seems like they're willing to do what they need to do to try to get that culture. I think they've got a decent coach. I think they've really turned things around within the organization. So I have to say, they made it to the Super Bowl last year. Got to respect them. That's a good opponent. But this last year, the Steelers went into Buffalo and shocked a lot of people by coming out of there with a win. What would that mean doing it this week? And don't give me the 30 seconds and the show's over answer that you gave me before the show. What would it mean for the Steelers to go into I'm gonna say Buffalo, go into Cincinnati and come out with a victory?
It would mean that they got their season kicked off exactly the way they've envisioned it. Okay. You know, everybody from the players to the coaching staff, like they have had weeks and weeks and weeks basically to prepare for this week 1 game. Mm-hmm. And they will have a plan. They will have a way they want to execute. And my thought is if they win that game, they're going to feel that they did the things they needed to do, which then just potentially starts your year off on that positive roll.
Mm-hmm. That's what we thought last year. And then they dropped the next 2.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, if that was a huge win against the Bills, that was a huge win against the Bills. But if you would have told me, hey, you can go 1-2 and beat the Bills, or you can go 2-1 and lose the Bills, I'd take the 2-1.
Yeah.
You know, because you've got to build on it. And that didn't happen. Now, granted, the Steelers were dealing with some injuries and stuff already right away early on. I mean, my goodness, they didn't have either of their outside linebackers for a game in there. Whew. So it is what it is. But to me, going in and winning this game would be, I would almost think, even a step up from last year. And you might think I'm crazy, but this team, just their last game they played that meant anything was the Super Bowl. And now the Steelers, because granted, was the number about the same last year for the over-under and the wins? It was low last year. I don't know if it was 7.5 or if it was 8.5. It might have been slightly higher, but it was like this. And a lot of people were picking the Steelers to come in last in the division and stuff last year. Oh, Ben Roethlisberger, he can't move in the pocket. Yeah, no, he can't. But the Steelers still found a way. And that's what they have to ultimately do when they go in here to Cincinnati and find a way. What I'm going to say is, do I think that the Steelers are going to go in and I'm telling you, they can't win this game? Because no, absolutely not. They proved last year they can do it. I believe that they can. The question is, will they? I don't know that I've ever felt a game, especially since I've joined Behind the Steel Curtain, for sure. But I don't know that I've ever felt that there's a game that the Steelers couldn't win. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think they could win the Super Bowl in the 95 season. I was just in high school. What did I know? You know, I didn't actually expect them to win. But I mean, I feel like they have a chance to win every game they go into. And I feel it again this Sunday. Same?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's why honestly, in the end, for multiple reasons, but especially because we're talking AFC North football, that line of -6.5 really doesn't mean a whole lot to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's what it is. And I'll be honest with you, I was at the casino a couple weeks ago, about a week and a half ago. I laid well, first of all, I wanted to put something down on the Steelers in the win total. Unfortunately, you know, the 7.5, I wanted to take the over, but because, you know, the casino's got to take their part of it, it was at -110 with the odds. So if I bet $20, I'm only going to make 18. And I'm like, that's whether you picked over or under, that's what it was. But man, I got much better odds by going 8.5. For the Steelers to go over the 8.5. I got much better odds because, I mean, a $20 bet, I'd bring in my $20 back plus another $52 on that one. I'm like, that's a no-brainer to take the extra game there. But I also did a 3-game parlay. I did not include the Steelers because I could see this game going crazy in either direction. I mean, could you see the Steelers defense coming out there and dominating, and the Bengals bungle it up, and the Steelers jump out to a big lead and keep it the whole time? Yes. Could I see the opposite happening? Yes. Could I see a close game and see how it turns out at the end? Yes. I can see all those things with this one because it's AFC North football. You're spot on there.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm thinking about.
Yeah. Now, so to put this in perspective, if the Steelers don't win this game, it's not the end of the world. Now, does it suck to start the season 0-1 in the division? Yeah, it absolutely does. Does it put them a little bit more behind the 8 ball than it would otherwise? Yes. But this is also one of the best opponents on paper when it comes to the odds that they're facing this year. So if they come out and win this game, that means a lot. That means a lot. And if the Steelers don't win this game, what it's going to mean more than anything is how they don't. How the game ultimately plays out. You want to see this team be successful. I'm going to give you a little analogy here. TJ Watt, reigning defensive player of the year. He tied the NFL record with 23 and a half sacks last year. Do you expect him to break it this year?
I don't worry about that.
Yeah, I don't either. And that was TJ's answers too. They asked him about him coming back this year and what's he going to do this year, and he puts it all back into a team focus. Love it. So here's something that fans talk about.
If that were the case, then for me, every time the quarterback drops back and doesn't hand off the ball, I expect TJ Watt to sack the quarterback.
Yeah, it's kind of the expectation there.
Now, is he going to do it every single time the quarterback drops back? No.
Yeah,
but I kind of expect it.
Yeah, but here's the deal. TJ Watt had 23 and a half sacks last year. What if he comes up just short? What if he only gets 20 and a half? Do you think that's all right?
Yes, that's fine.
Because guess what? Do you know how many times in the history of the NFL a player has had back-to-back seasons with 20 or more sacks?
No, I can't say I've ever,
One time. And it was before sacks were even an official individual statistic. So they didn't even know it. But it's where Pro Football Reference has gone back and retroactively assigned sacks to people. They kept it as a team stat. So they know how many sacks were in a game, but they weren't assigned to an individual person. They went back and did it. One time, Deacon Jones did it. I'm pretty sure the years were 67 and 68. I might be off there, but it was in the late 60s. One time in the history of the NFL has a player gone back-to-back seasons with 20 sacks. If TJ Watt does that, that's amazing. Now, is that me saying that because of that, I don't think he's going to do it? No. That's me saying that if he does, then you need to put the greatness of it into perspective. And that's kind of how I feel about the Steelers going into this game this week. If they win this game this week, it is a really big deal. It's a really big deal. You agree?
Take the word really off of that.
Okay. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm ready to say that it's a really big deal. I don't care who the opponent, but see, I look at it as it doesn't matter a whole lot who the opponent is in week one. If you go out in week one and get a win, that's a big deal. Because really only half the league does that.
That's correct.
So.
But you also have to admit, based on if you're home or on the road,
correct,
and based on the quality of your opponent, based on the previous years, mainly what you have to go off of. You know, if you knock off the Super Bowl champion the first week of the next year, now could it be? I can't even remember the year with the Florida Marlins with baseball where they won the World Series and nobody was back the next year. It doesn't generally work that way in the NFL, but I mean, people could retire, move on, things like that. But that is a little bit more to the victory, in my opinion. So to me, when you look at this game being one of the more difficult ones on the schedule, if you can end up pulling out one of the more difficult games on the schedule the very first week, I think that's important.
There are two teams actually that you could weigh this a little bit more for them this week if they win in week 1. Okay. One of which is the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they are playing one of the participants from the Super Bowl last year. And the other one would be the Buffalo Bills, because they're playing the other participant in the Super Bowl from last year.
Yeah.
So wins for either of those teams, you do have to say they're going to have to feel maybe a little better about them than they would if they were playing someone else.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's just how it is. So I'll just kind of put that in perspective. It's one of those, it's a much bigger deal that if the Steelers win the game than it is a bigger deal in the opposite direction if they don't win this game. And if they do, and as I said before, if they don't, it's kind of how they don't. But at the same time, if they win the game, how they win the game is also going to mean even more. I mean, if it's a beatdown, my goodness, that really says something. So to me right now, the Steelers are flying a little bit more under the radar. People think that, oh, well, Mike Tomlin's never done it without Ben Roethlisberger. Let's see how it goes. I'm so excited. I can't wait for it. So you ready to roll into what we do at the end? Or is there something else you want to talk about first?
No, if I have one more thing to say about the game this week, win or lose, it's the ever famous let's get out of it unscathed physically.
Yeah.
No way do you ever want to start the season with things like that going on. So let's see what we can do to get everybody. Let's play a good game, win or lose, and get out healthy. Definitely want to try to get that win and come out of there. But if you don't, but you play a good game and you keep everybody healthy, you say, you know what, we were there, we battled, we got a few things we need to work on or fix. We're going to work on those things, get them fixed. Let's move on to week 2.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to go back and find where I was trying to keep a comment to bring up, and unfortunately I can't find it. So I'm just going to have to say it. I'm sorry I can't even remember who it was, so I apologize. But they had the best comment. They're like, if the Steelers just don't turn the ball over, then they have a great opportunity to win the game. They might have even said they will win the game. They had 5 turnovers in the 2 games with the Bengals last year.
Yeah.
5. Yeah. Coach Tomlin talked about that today. You got to take care of the football. So there's, they had 2 in one game, 3 in another. So that's another thing to look at. And half the NFL is going to fall in defeat, barring a tie, the first week of the season. And there will be a number of those teams that will make the postseason. And there will be a number of the teams that win in week 1 that don't make the postseason. You just got to remember that when you put the first week into perspective. So the key is, like you said, come out of it as healthy as possible with no long-term repercussions. Put yourself in a position to win the game, and then see what happens at the end. That's what I'm looking for. I'll be honest with you. When it comes to my prediction, you ready for the predictions?
Whenever you are, yes.
My prediction, I have it detailed, man. I have a super detailed prediction
that you'll give on Thursday.
On the preview on Thursday. I mean, I have a halftime score and then how the second half plays out. That is how detailed my prediction is. And it'll be interesting to see. So for those of you that might not remember how it works, BF Bud, you should know better. You don't put your score in until after I type the words that you see in the live chat that says scores. Rich is going to gives his score. If you write just a number, we are assuming that you're saying that the Steelers win. If you are saying that the opponent is going to win, you need to state that with your number. So, Rich, everyone's getting ready, okay, to put their scores in the live chat there. I bet you a bunch of people already have it typed in, just waiting to hit enter. So, Rich, tell us, what is your score prediction for this Sunday when the Steelers visit Cincinnati?
Okay. I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet, not go too long into explanation, but I expect to see what I consider to be typical AFC North football. I expect the game to be tight. I expect it to come down to a couple of plays in the fourth quarter. In the end, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to actually take Cincinnati 24-21 over the Steelers. Steelers cover, but lose the game. They play well, but the Bengals just get an extra play or two in the fourth quarter to pull out a 3-point win.
So, all right, there's some people that jumped the gun.
That's right.
You're going to have to put it in there again because you jumped the gun, because the first one to get it in there is Steel Dog 88. Says 23-16 Steelers. Wow, they're coming in fast.
Yes, they are.
Okay. Sean Manahan says Steelers 23, Bengals 13. I'm not reading the rest of that. Kathy Ford. Hey, Kathy. I got to give a shout out to Kathy when we go to finish the show. Kathy says 21-18 Steelers. Jeffrey says 6-0 Steelers. Man, that would be some old school football. I'd love it. Okay, Christopher,
that would be an AFC North score.
That'd be an AFC North matchup. That sounds more like a hurricane game, if you know what I mean. Christopher 11 says 21-17 Immaculate Steelers. Okay, Joe McCamey, did I say it right?
I don't know.
I hope so. 23-21 Steelers. Usually you tell me if I say it wrong, Rich. That's what I'm asking.
I just didn't feel like
I'm not asking Joe. He's not going to answer.
I'm tired.
Okay. Steelers Pittsburgh says 24-17 Steelers. Brad Jewett says 28-24 Cincy. Okay. BF Bud says 34-24 Bungles. Michael O'Malley says 24-17. That would be Steelers. Mr. Woodside says Bengals 24-20. Okay. Craig Lawson says 30-27 Steelers. Kyle Smith says 24-17 Bengals. Frosty the Beard says Steelers 13, Bungles. I said 13. There's my dyslexia coming out again. Steelers 31, Bungles 23. Okay. I always mess up. Myrna, Jane, and Bert. Is it Myra or Myrna? We always say Bert.
I don't know, but Bert always says hi from Maui. So,
yep.
You know.
Oh, it's got the that's a pretty nice picture there for the profile with the flag there at that's Heinz Field, because you can still see the ketchup bottles. So that wasn't in the preseason. Sorry, 21-24 Steelers. Okay. State of the Steelers, 27-17 Steelers. Bart Mackey says 24-21 Steelers. Patricia Castaneda says 27-24 Steelers. Mike Moore says 27. I'm hoping we get more of that later.
Got a partial score.
Got a partial score.
You know what that reminds me of?
70. We might be wrong. Okay, sorry.
The partial score.
Yes.
You should remember that. The guy from back in your high school playing days.
The partial score.
Former County Commissioner Brasky used to always run through scores, and he'd always, here's a partial score, and he'd just say
a number. Oh, that's funny. Brandon, we better roll through this. Brandon McDaniel says 23-17 Steelers over the Bengals. MT Soul says 27-24 Steelers. Nate Van Slyke says 27-24 Steelers. Those were back to back, but one was Facebook, one was YouTube. They didn't steal from each other.
That's right. They didn't steal from each other.
Reginald Rivers says 23-16 Steelers. Rhino Blackbeard says 27-17 Steelers. Sherry Richards. Hey, Sherry. 23-21 Steelers. Thomas Eads says 20-17 Steelers. Here we go. Wait, we both hit. Did you hit that one at the same time I did?
I don't know.
What?
Did you?
NBA Crypto Boy says just got on, but 24-21 Steelers. CD says 23-21 Steelers. I try to leave these up so people can read the rest of it if they want to, but I'm just saying the numbers. John Funker There we go. It says, I've got to say that slowly so I don't screw that one up. 21-9 Steelers. Joseph Donovan says 31-17 Steelers. Eric I've gotten this right in the past.
You've gotten it correct in the past, but you'll mess it up. Go ahead.
Eric says 23-24 Steelers. No, I know I've gotten it right in the past. That's why I'm second guessing it. Okay. It's like it won't come out of my mouth. Okay. Carnivore Journey says 16-13 Steelers. Ed Mahoney says 31-24 Steelers. Mackle Dew says 30-17 Steelers. Harvey Stone says 17-16 Steelers. Terry Bittinger, 20-10 Steelers. Tate Boys. Hey, I was in the live chat at his show on Sunday. That was a lot of fun. 26-24 Steelers. I dropped that Deacon Jones thing in there as well. And Jeffrey fixed my years. I was off by a year when I quoted that earlier. Was it Dante Harris says 27-18 Steelers. Jeremiah Yoder says 27-16 our Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll say that one. The one that was a partial score. Kathy figured out what it was.
Yeah, hilarious.
It was a clerical error.
Nice. Yes.
It was a clerical error. Charles Webb, 24-23 Steelers. I already got Terry's in there. They came out again. And I think that's everyone that I am caught up with.
Yes.
Whew! So, yeah. I'm just excited. Oh, my goodness. I mean, it was great to see the Steelers playing in the preseason. It really was. But I was so focused on the Steelers. I mean, when they were playing that game in Jacksonville, I didn't even care if Jacksonville hit that field goal at the end or not. I really didn't. Right. It didn't matter at all. You know what? This week, it matters. This is where the nerves get racked up. This is where you're biting on your terrible towel. This is where you're a little bit more likely to throw things at the television on this one.
Let me tell you this. Trying to do knee-jerk reaction articles in the preseason, very difficult.
Rich.
Because I don't feel like this. You know what I mean? I'm not feeling the same.
Hey, we divided it up. No one had to do more than one. You were you set everything up. Kyle did one game. I did one game. You did one game. It worked out pretty well. That's really tough
but we all had the similar things. Say it's like you get into the second half and you're just like, yeah, it's kind of preseason football, whatever. Don't feel that way during the regular season. So I'm ready to need that bottle of Pepto, sitting right next to me while the game's going on. That's the only way the Steelers seem to play in the regular season. Make us all sweat, make us all, need the Tums, need the Pepto, got to just,
Even when we were there at that Denver game, they were up and they were in control for so long. And the next thing, they got to have an interception in the end zone in order to win it. We did get one more score. Rand, would you say Rands? Because I'm 87 Rock Z, maybe. Yep. Okay. He says 27-24 overtime. Steelers win. So there we go. All right. To finish up, before I turn it over to you, I said I wanted to give a shout out to Kathy. I know I mentioned it last week, and I know Brian's mentioned it on a number of podcasts about how it's been 1 week now since my book was released. It's not about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I said I don't want to talk about it a lot because that's not what this is about. We're here to talk about the Steelers, and that's what it is. I'm not just here to promote that. But I have to say thank you for those of you that have reached out to me or said things in the live chat. Those of you that have supported me with it. Kathy received the book. That was what was that? Was the Q&A? Was it during the Q&A that I was in there in the live chat? She received the book the day before and stayed up all night reading it. And then thank you so much. I really want to give a shout out to Kathy with that. For those of you that might be hearing it for the first time, it's like, well, what's he talking about? I don't want to leave you hanging there. I do have a book. It's on Amazon. It's a YA. She said she still wants an autograph. I'm going to work that out, Kathy. I'm trying to figure that out, of exactly how I can get a copy signed of people that already have it, how I can sign their copy. But it's available on Amazon. It's under David Schofield. It's called Ghost Warriors if you're interested in it. It's a YA fantasy adventure novel because it's appropriate for middle school readers, but it's also enjoyed up to adult. So I just mainly wanted to say thank you to everyone, since I did mention it on the show the first time last week. So thank you very much. Whew. Now that I get past that, oh man, I'm excited about this game. How about you, Rich? What do you got to say to finish up?
All right. So of course I'm excited about this game. I will, before I get a couple words on the game, would like to mention I still have some New York Jets tickets I'm looking to get rid of for the 2nd of October. I have already had someone come through Dave after hearing the podcast, and the Bengals tickets are now gone. But if
that's a primetime game. That's a harder one to get rid of, in my opinion. So,
I thought so too. So
I thought the Jets game coming off that mini bye, people might be thinking that might be the first KP8 sighting. Maybe, who knows?
Potentially, but just let's see. What are my Section 524 row K? Have 2 seats up there. $200 for the pair. It's a pretty decent deal. Just
friends and family price.
That's right. That's the friends and family price. You come in through BTSC, you get the friends and family price. So if anybody's interested, you can reach out to Dave or find a way and reach out to me. We'll see what we can get worked out. So, but ultimately, what I'm really excited for right now is Sunday. Actually, you know what? Before Sunday, I'm excited for Friday because, bow season comes in on Friday. So we get to go out and hunt a little bit, maybe Friday and Saturday.
And what are you thinking about the whole time?
Football, of course. It's like, but not going out on Sunday because 1:00 Sunday, I'll be sitting on my butt wearing my sealer gear up in front of the TV, doing my knee-jerk reaction article, and just probably yelling and screaming so much that Kyle can't take it anymore, and he leaves and comes downstairs just to get away from me.
Yep.
And I love it. I've missed it. I've missed it so much. The season ends and we think about, it's going to be so long. It's going to take forever to get here. Guess what? It's here. It's here. Coming Sunday. Can't wait.
When I know that it can never really be the same, how could I move forward when I keep looking backward?